Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're going on a journey.
A journey.
Yeah, a journey into the world of Viktor Schauberger.
Oh, okay.
He was a naturalist and inventor with some pretty radical ideas about nature,
I've heard of him.
especially about water.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll be diving into excerpts from Nature's Teacher.
Okay, so kind of a crash course on Schauberger.
Yeah, his observations, inventions, the whole nine yards, maybe even challenge how you see the world around you.
I'm ready.
Okay, so one of the first things that struck me was just how concerned he was about the environment, like collapsing rivers and pollution, extinction, deforestation, all this stuff back in the early 20th century.
Wow, he sounds like he was ahead of his time.
It's like he predicted the crisis we're facing right now.
Yeah, and he saw this decline, environmental decline, as like a symptom of a deeper problem.
Okay, like
A
right.
decline in human morals and creativity.
Okay, so it's not just about saving the trees, it's about saving ourselves too.
Exactly.
Deep stuff.
Schauberger believed that modern science, like in its attempt to oversimplify and just categorize things,
Yeah.
actually missed the point when it comes to really understanding nature.
Gotcha. Can you give me an example?
Well, take water. Most people think of it as just H2O.
Right. Simple compound.
But Schauberger, he saw it as something way more profound, a living entity, a life-giving force with its own unique energy, intelligence, the whole thing.
And he was worried about how we treat it.
Big time.
Yeah.
Forcing it through pipes, treating it with chemicals.
You mean like our drinking water?
That's what he believed. He said that drinking water that's been treated that way, it disrupts the natural energies.
Oh.
And it could actually lead to like physical and mental degeneration.
Whoa. Are you serious?
Yeah, and get this. He even said that water can be artificially produced to have like specific therapeutic effects.
So almost like a natural medicine?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Are there any scientists that support this view today?
Well, his ideas are definitely outside the mainstream, but
Right.
there is a growing amount of research that's looking at water in new ways.
Like how?
They're exploring the idea that water has properties, beyond just basic chemistry.
Okay.
Like the structure of water, the movement, different energies it's exposed to.
Uh-huh.
All of this might influence its biological activity,
Yeah.
how it affects our bodies.
Makes you think twice about that next glass of water, huh?
It really does.
But let's get back to this nature's technology thing.
Sure.
What did Schauberger even mean by that?
He believed that nature operates with its own technology,
Really?
a very subtle technology that we should be learning from, emulating.
Instead of trying to dominate it.
Right. He was fascinated by how trout could move so effortlessly in fast-flowing water, even upstream,
Against the current.
against the current.
I can barely swim with the current.
He was convinced they were tapping into some hidden energy source.
Wow, so he got inspiration from nature to make new technology.
Exactly. He spent years studying water, shapes of riverbeds, the whole thing.
Tell me about this trout motor I keep hearing about.
Yeah, so that was a device based on his trout observations,
Okay.
like how they moved effortlessly.
Uh.
It was based on the idea that the trout creates like a spiral motion in the water.
Oh, I see.
He called it cycloid spiral space curve motion.
Catchy.
And this was key, he thought, to understanding how nature makes energy without all the friction and heat buildup.
Not like our technology.
Exactly.
I'm picturing like the trout creating this mini whirlpool
Pretty much.
to propel it forward.
Exactly. He believed that we could like mimic these shapes and movements to create better machines.
That generate energy in a better way.
Way more harmonious, sustainable.
So instead of giant dams, we could have energy devices that work more like a stream.
Exactly.
That's crazy. But how did this cycloid spiral space curve motion thing actually work?
This is where it gets even more interesting. He believed these spiral movements create like an implosive force.
Or close-up.
Yeah, a suction that draws energy inwards. Like a vacuum, but a very subtle kind of. It works with the environment instead of against it. He even connected it to biomagnetism.
Okay, now you're just using big words.
The idea that living organisms, they have their own magnetic fields and they interact with the Earth's magnetic field.
And he got all this from watching a fish.
That's the beauty of Schauberger. He shows us that nature's full of secrets.
Definitely makes you wonder what we're missing, huh?
If we pay attention, maybe we could learn things that could change the world.
I think we need to pause here and just let all that sink in. This is a lot to process.
I agree.
In the next part, let's talk about some of those secrets he uncovered and what he thought the future of technology could be.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back.
Can't wait.
Okay, so I'm still trying to process all that stuff about water and nature's hidden technology.
A lot, right.
It's like Schauberger saying, hey, look closer. What if we've been approaching technology all wrong?
He was definitely a different kind of thinker.
So let's get into it. What did he think the future of technology should look like?
He imagined a future where we work with nature, not against it.
Okay, so how?
He called it ecotechnology, harnessing natural energies in a way that benefits everyone, humans, and the environment.
I like the sound of that. But how did he imagine this working in practice?
Well, he saw huge potential in water.
Wow.
Remember that untapped energy source he talked about? He thought we could replicate the natural movements of water to create clean energy.
Instead of dams and power plants.
Exactly. And not just energy, he thought ecotechnology could revolutionize everything.
Everything.
Agriculture, forestry, even transportation. Imagine a world where technology works with the natural world.
It sounds amazing. Free energy, harmony with nature, abundance for all.
It does sound a little utopian.
Was he just an idealist, or did he actually think this was achievable?
He definitely believed it was possible.
Huh.
And, some of his ideas that seemed crazy back then are starting to gain traction today.
Really? Like what?
Think about renewable energy, solar, and wind power.
Oh.
Permaculture, regenerative agriculture, these are all about working with nature.
That's true. It's like we're finally catching up to Schauberger.
Exactly. Maybe we've been so focused on our current way of doing things that we've missed out on better possibilities.
Makes you wonder. But our entire society is built on the technology we have now.
Right.
How did Schauberger think we could make such a huge change?
He said it starts with a shift in our thinking, moving away from dominating nature.
Towards what?
A more cooperative relationship.
Okay.
And that shift has to be reflected in our actions too.
So it's not just new technology, it's a whole new mindset.
He saw a connection between our inner world and the outer world. Like as we heal our relationship with nature, we heal ourselves.
That's pretty deep. Where do we even begin to make such a big change?
He thought one of the most important things is just paying more attention to nature.
Like what? Going for walks in the woods?
Observe its patterns, its processes, its rhythms.
So it's about being more mindful.
Yeah, immerse ourselves in nature and we can learn from it.
So I don't have to become a scientist to understand this stuff.
It's more about cultivating a sense of curiosity and wonder about the natural world.
I can do that. Okay, I'm getting a better sense of his philosophy now, but I'm curious about those observations he made in nature.
The rumbling lakes and the fish eagle.
Yeah. Those sound pretty amazing. What did he see and what did he think it meant?
So he described these lakes in Austria called the Austrian lakes.
Okay.
And they would rumble almost like thunder.
Whoa.
And make these water spouts like as high as a house.
Are you serious?
He thought it showed how vital water is, its power to move and transform in ways we don't fully get.
Wow, that's wild, like something out of a myth.
Right, and then there's the fish eagle. He was fascinated by how it flies in a spiral. And he connected that to the vortices in water, like the eagle was tapping into that energy.
So he saw these connections between everything. Water, birds, rumbling lakes. It's like he was deciphering a secret code.
Exactly. He was looking for those hidden principles that connect everything in nature. And by understanding them, we could tap into a source of knowledge and power we've ignored.
This is all really fascinating, but some of it is hard to grasp. It pushes the boundaries of what we normally consider science.
That's true. And it's worth noting, not all of his ideas have been scientifically proven.
Okay.
But even if we don't take everything literally, his work can still be valuable.
How so?
It makes us think differently, ask new questions, be open to the possibility that there's more to the world than we know.
I see your point. He was a brilliant observer and a deep thinker, even if some of his ideas were a bit out there.
Definitely.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. We've talked about how he criticized modern technology, but he also had some radical ideas of his own about energy, water purification, even transportation.
And all based on his observations of nature, trying to mimic its processes.
So what were some of these inventions? Did any of them actually work?
Well, one of his most famous was the trout motor. We talked about that.
The one based on the fish.
Yeah, it was meant to create energy by copying the way water moves in a spiral.
Okay.
He also made something called the implosion turbine.
Implosion turbine.
It used a similar idea to make a powerful suction force, could potentially make energy or purify water.
A turbine that implodes instead of explodes.
Basically. He built prototypes of some of his inventions. There are reports that they worked, at least a little bit.
Did they really?
But you got to remember, he had limited resources and a lot of scientists didn't take him seriously.
Going against the grain is never easy.
Especially when you're challenging the status quo
It
and proposing a whole new way of doing things.
But maybe with all the focus on sustainability and the climate crisis, people will start to pay attention to his work.
I hope so. His message is more important than ever. Rethinking our relationship with nature, moving away from exploitation and towards cooperation.
And seeing nature as our teacher.
Exactly.
I think this is a good place to take a break. When we come back, let's get into those challenges he made to conventional thinking and what he saw for the future of humanity.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the mind of Viktor Schauberger.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. Those strange observations, his perspective on nature and technology.
Mind-blowing stuff.
Totally. And he was so skeptical of conventional science.
He really was.
But he wasn't just a critic. He offered a whole new way of understanding the world, a way to a better future.
Yeah, he wasn't just pointing out problems, he was looking for solutions.
Okay, let's talk about those challenges to conventional thinking. You said he believed humanity had been misled.
Yeah, operating under a flawed understanding of the world.
Where did he think we went wrong?
He criticized modern science for being too reductionist.
Reductionist, what does that even mean?
It's like focusing on tiny parts and missing the big picture.
So like taking apart a watch to see how it works, but forgetting that all the pieces have to work together?
Exactly. He believed you can't understand nature by just dissecting it.
You have to look at the whole thing.
The relationships, the energy flow, the subtle interactions.
And this goes back to nature's technology, right?
Exactly. He saw our technology as brute force, trying to overpower nature.
But nature works with subtle energies and rhythms.
Right. Like, think about how we move water.
Through pipes.
Yeah, straight pipes, high speeds, creating friction and turbulence.
Seems inefficient.
It wastes energy and even damages the water.
Really?
Look at how water moves in nature. It meanders, it spirals, it creates those vortices.
So we're not just wasting energy, we're messing up the water too.
And he said this affects our health. Remember that idea about drinking water?
Disrupting its natural energies?
Yeah. He said it could lead to all sorts of problems, like we're slowly poisoning ourselves.
Wow. What other things in our lives might be out of sync with nature?
It's a good question. I think that's one of the most important things about Schauberger's work.
What is?
He makes us question our assumptions, look at the world differently.
To be open to the possibility that we could be doing things better.
So how do we realign ourselves with nature's technology?
That's a big question. Where do we even start?
Schauberger believed it starts with understanding. Spend time in nature, observe, pay attention.
Become a student of nature.
Exactly. Immerse yourself, learn from it.
So go outside, get your hands dirty, let nature be the teacher.
And once we get that, then we can apply those principles to our lives and technology.
Work with nature, not against it.
It's a shift in mindset, from domination and control to respect and cooperation.
This is all sounding familiar, like permaculture, regenerative agriculture, biomimicry.
They're all drawing on these same ideas. Schauberger was definitely ahead of his time.
But what about those strange observations? The rumbling lakes, the spiraling eagles?
Yeah, the mysterious lights and mists.
Are those essential to understanding his work? Or can we stick to the nature and technology ideas?
That's a tough one. Those observations were really important to Schauberger.
He saw them as proof of unseen energies.
Energies we could tap into.
But a lot of it hasn't been scientifically proven. It's like he's asking us to believe without proof.
And it's fine to be skeptical. But he was working in a different time.
Where the lines between science and spirituality were blurrier.
Right. Maybe we can see those observations as metaphors.
Ways of describing things we don't understand yet.
That's a good way to look at it. We need that open-mindedness, that curiosity, to really get Schauberger.
I think that's a great way to wrap up our deep dive into Viktor Schauberger. He was a visionary.
Yeah, maverick.
Someone who dared to think differently and imagine a better future, living in harmony with nature.
And even if some of his ideas seem out there,
they remind us to stay curious, keep asking questions,
and be open to the possibility that there's more to discover.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. We hope you learned something new, and maybe it even inspired you to see the world in a new way.
Maybe you'll even find some of nature's secrets yourself.
Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.